Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mahdi Tijani back with you again. I received a question from a loyal Patreon supporter. Shout out to you, brother. I'm keeping him anonymous, of course. And after I read the question, I warned him. I said to him, "You're not going to like my response." And he said to me, "Just tell me. I need to know." So that's what we're going to do, inshallah ta'ala. And if you would like a video response like this, you've got one or two ways of doing it. You can either pay £45 one-off, a link will be generated, you send me your question, and I make a video response like this. Or you can join my Patreon inner circle for £9.95 a month, where you can ask me a question a month, as well as have access to all the other perks, as well as the private banned content that I put on there. It's a bit more intense, as if I wasn't intense enough already. And yeah, you can have access to all of that good stuff. So the links are all in the description. Check it out there. For now, let's get into it. My wife has a tendency to mention other guys in front of me, which I find super disrespectful. And it makes my blood boil to the point I feel like I'm going to explode. Wallahi, you know, my head is spinning in multiple different directions because I've had time to think about this question. You know what? This is what I'll say is this. I'm going to get into the question more, but I need you guys to understand something. And to the brother who sent me this requested question as well, I'm going to tell you something that you might not want to hear. If your woman is doing this, there's a number of scenarios that we have to consider, possible scenarios. Now, I don't know whether this brother's wife has been married before. I got no clue. But I'm going to, based on my experience, make a number of assertions, a number of postulations, and he can confirm with me afterwards whether I'm right or not. Firstly and foremostly, this woman has been in a relationship before, an intimate relationship. I can almost guarantee it. I can almost guarantee it. If she's mentioning other guys, it's because she's had experience of other guys. Why do you think the virgin is such a preference to men? Why do you think the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the virgin is pleased with less? It's a more desirable prospect for men. She has no point of comparison to draw upon. So either this sister has been married before, or she's been intimate with a man in haram before. I'm not making any accusations. I'm simply calling it out for what it is. She's either been married before and therefore has had sexual experience with a man in halala, or she's been in a relationship before and had sexual experience in haram. And my brother, this is not a slight to you. I am just telling you, when a woman is talking about other guys and has the audacity to do it in front of you, this is called a Freudian slip. This doesn't even sound like a Freudian slip to me, to be honest. A Freudian slip is when you say something that you didn't mean to say, but you actually meant. Let me say that again properly. When you say something that you wish never came out, but deep down you feel inside. That's a Freudian slip. And if she's mentioning it over and over, it means that this is something that's really eating away at her. She's hung up on her previous intimate experience, her previous sexual experience. That is the definition of an alpha widow. That's what an alpha widow is. And then you brothers wonder why, and you sisters wonder why I tell brothers, for the most part, stay away from divorcees or women who've had sexual experience. Then you wonder why. Get the frick out of here. This is the bullshit that can happen when you don't take that advice. I will be the hero to save her. All right then, go on then, Mr. Chump. Go and be the hero. You idiots. Second point is this. And I need the ladies to understand this. If you've had a sexual experience in haram, oftentimes that sensation that you experienced, that moment, that feeling is heightened for the very reason that it happened in haram. You were tiptoeing about, hiding, didn't want to get caught, it was all secret, tensions were high. All of that adds to the experience of the moment, giving you the illusion that it was a superior experience, but actually it was just the circumstances or the context surrounding it, the frame surrounding it. The man you have right now, the husband you have right now is actually better for you. But because of that frame, because of that excitement that is generated from doing something that is wrong, that fear, it's like, oh, we don't want to get caught, it adds to the adrenaline. It makes the moment feel better. And I keep using the word feeling because that's what women are into, their feelings. But actually, he wasn't better. He might have even been inferior in the bedroom or with regards to his physical ability to please you. But you feel like it was better because of that frame. Or he was better and that's the end of that. She's an alpha widow. She was with someone before whom she deemed to be superior than whom she is with right now for whatever reason, and it's totally subjective. And again, to the brother who sent me this, don't take it personally. She might be wrong. You might be better than her previous partner, her previous intimate partner. It's irrelevant. It's what she deems, she feels. And if a woman is mentioning guys in front of you, has the nerve, the audacity to do that, especially as Muslims, you know for sure she's hung up on one of her exes or her ex. No doubt about it. None at all. Let's carry on. I have a brother that lives near me and we became friends, and his wife became friends with my wife. She gets invited. I'm assuming you're saying your wife. My wife gets invited to their place and she takes the kids. And her husband is a friend. Okay, so the friend's husband is a friendly guy and he plays with my kids and sometimes buys them gifts. And naturally, my 3-year-old likes him. Okay. My wife and I get into an argument in front of the kids and my daughter starts crying. So she starts saying things like, Uncle so said this and that to try and calm her down. I take this as an utter violation to the point where I'm contemplating divorce. Ahi, first thing I'll say to you is you need to stop your wife from going around there right now. It's quite, without jumping the gun, it's quite possible she has kindled a relationship with this man, or he has kindled a relationship with her. And if there is no relationship that has been kindled, in the least instance, your wife has eyes for him. That's like the best case scenario. The best case scenario is this man hasn't approached your woman, hasn't approached your wife, but your wife has eyes for him. And it sounds to me that your wife has eyes for many other guys other than you. And I know that's a bitter pill to swallow. Bitter pill to swallow. But that's what happens when a woman feels like she's not with her best option. That's what happens. When she feels like she's not with her best option, this is the end result. And again, I said at the beginning of this video, she has definitely had an intimate sexual experience in the past, be it with in halala, as with a husband, or in haram. Now, if she has never had a previous husband before, don't bother asking her. I know you've had an experience. Don't bother. What do you think? She's going to tell you the truth? Don't be ridiculous. She's never going to tell you the truth, and you're never going to find out. Women are experts at covering up their past. Experts, they have to be, because they know, even if they deny it, on some level of consciousness, that their sexual history affects their ability to pair up in the future. So don't bother asking. Just pay attention to the actions. The actions are speaking everything. You should take this as an utter violation, because it is an utter violation. That's exactly what it is. Man, this is heartbreaking, wallah. This is absolutely heartbreaking. Bear in mind, let's carry on. Bear in mind, it's not the first time she did this. Khalas. This video is finished. 1000%. If it was 100% before, now we're at 1000. This woman, your wife, has had an intimate sexual experience in a relationship in the past with another man. Whether it was in halala as a husband or in haram is irrelevant. Actually, I will go even further as to say, if it was in haram, this is possibly even worse. Why? Because for the reason I mentioned, the frame of haram makes the situation more exciting. The adrenaline is higher. The nerves are higher. The excitement is higher. The tension is higher. All of that adds to the mix of creating this heightened experience. And it's an illusion. It's an illusion. But it adds to that feeling that I keep talking about. Yeah, we got an alpha widow on our hands, gentlemen. And again, I have to shout out that Rolo Tomasi came up with that name. I know I keep referencing him, but it's out of respect, because these terms, he came up with these terms. It's the term alpha widow is simply a term used to describe a woman who was with a man in her past and she's unable to move on from him. That's it. That's all it is. And this happens all the time. I know these women. I've met these women. I've dealt with these women. I know them. They can't move on. They can't move on. And there's nothing anyone can do for them. Nothing anyone can do for them. Stuck. I put a post on my Instagram story yesterday. I said, ladies, be careful whom you allow, which man you allow to dip his wand in your pond. Because the consequences of that can be severe to the point where it will haunt you for a lifetime. You may never be able to move on from him. For example, she told me a joke. Okay, let's carry on now. Bear in mind, it's not the first time she did this. For example, she told me a joke which wasn't funny, and I relayed that to her. She says to me, so-and-so, a former family friend, found me funny. This was before we were married, and I let my feelings known. She begged for forgiveness and swore she will never do it again. I don't really understand what you're telling me there, Rahi, but maybe it sounds like they were insulting you or something, right? I don't get it. Let's read it again. For example, she told me a joke which wasn't funny, and I relayed that to her. She says to me, so-and-so, a former family friend, found me funny. I don't get it. I don't get what you're saying. This was before we were married, and I let my feelings known. She begged for forgiveness and swore she will never do it again. Okay, I don't know what that means, but let's carry on. To make it clear, she was told this before we were married, and after we did get married, she started saying this. All right, guys, you're going to send me a question, guys. Please make your questions clearer. Okay, please make them clearer. If you want a good answer, write a good question. Now, the brother did conclude this with saying, I was angry when I wrote this, so his emotions must have just came out just like that. And to be honest, because I skimmed over it, if I had read it properly, I would have asked you to rewrite it. Nevertheless, the bottom line is this, my brother. I am not going to give you a diagnosis. I am not going to tell you, I'm not going to say that. I am not going to give you a prescription. I'm not going to prescribe you what to do. I'm simply going to explain the situation for what it is, because you've got kids with this woman. I am not a propagator of divorce. I'm not a propagator of divorce. I don't encourage divorce because of the severe consequences it has on children. Does divorce have its place? Yes, it absolutely has its place. But that's for you to decide. And I can only give you so much advice and information based upon the shortness of this message. However, I have a clear enough picture as it is. It's quite self-evident to me that your wife is hung up on another man. She's hung up on someone else, and it keeps slipping out of her. And you are going to have to decide whether this is tolerable for you or not.